In this project, we are going to create a travel application icon, and I thought that instead of creating an airplane or a suitcase, boring things like that, we could maybe spice things up and learn another technique of working inside Illustrator. As you can see, my assets right here have grown. Not only do I have some swatches, I also have an image. Now, what I did is I just went to Google Images, I searched for Earth, and this is what I got. Well, actually, it's one of the images I found. I simply copied it and pasted here inside Illustrator, and this is going to be the base for my trace, actually, because we are going to grab the pen tool and quickly trace this whole shape right here. Now, we don't have to be extremely precise. We just need a rough sketch, a rough outline. So let's actually start doing that right now. So I'm just going to bring this guy over, and if it's maybe easier for you, you could always drop the opacity down of your image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the pen tool, and maybe just so you can see everything a bit better, I am going to maybe grab some really vivid color, maybe like this purpley pink color, and I'm just going to zoom in. So basically what we want is we just want to quickly click around the edges of this map, well, actually of this continent, and let me just click. As you can see, I'm not even dragging, I'm just roughly clicking around here just to create a rough sketch. Let me just click somewhere here and here, and now let's move on to South America. Let's click somewhere here, maybe here. Now let's just quickly create some lines over here. Now let's move back to the north. Of course, if you want to, you can just fast forward the video, because it's basically just going to be some clicking. Now the Caribbean Sea, now the Florida, maybe somewhere up here. I'm trying to make it as fast as possible, trying to speed the whole process up. Maybe let's go like that, and like this, maybe somewhere here. And in just a second, I'm going to take care of the islands of the Greenland and Cuba as well. Maybe somewhere here. Let's not be too precise. This should be fine. Let's click somewhere here, and then just let's close the shape right here. So I'm just going to now click Shift X, so you can see that we have this rough outline. And then I'm gonna grab the pen tool again, so we can trace here around the Greenland. There we go. And somewhere here, and maybe down here, these islands as well. There we go. And maybe down here as well. This is going to be really small once we zoom back out, so we don't have to again be that precise. Just going to click Shift. Let me just select them. I'm just going to select these shapes, click Shift, sample the color, grab Greenland and sample the color, and we basically got our main shape created, and we don't need this image anymore. So we are left with these shapes. So we got North America, part of South America, Greenland, the islands down here, and I guess we can now create the globe. So I'm just going to grab the ellipse tool and create a line that is going to be a shape that is going to look more or less like this. Let me just sample the right color. I'm going to push it all the way to the back. And maybe now just grab all these shapes. So I'm shift clicking on them. And I'm just going to sample the green color. There we go. And maybe let's just keep Greenland snowy. There we go. So now we can select everything, all these elements. We can now group them. I guess I'm going to cut them out and paste them inside using the draw inside mode. So I'm just going to press Ctrl+Shift+V right now, and we basically got, well, we created the world very quickly. So now what we have to do is we have to add like the magnifying glass. We would have to add some clouds and maybe some shading. So let's create the magnifying glass right now. So I'm just going to quickly check the size of my ellipse. It's 286 pixels. So I'm just going to copy that value. I'm gonna grab the ellipse tool and click somewhere here to invoke the ellipse tool dialog box, and I'm just going to paste those values in. There we go. We can now move this guy to somewhere here and put it all the way behind our globe. I'm just going to select everything and align everything nicely. Now I would like to make this guy just a bit bigger to somewhere here. Now what I want is I want to have something like a light halo around my globe. So for that I'm just going to quickly use the stroke and the fill attributes. So I'm just going to grab this value, this light gray color, and I'm going to exchange the fill with the stroke with this guy right here, and I'm going to paste that value in, the one that I just copied. There we go. And of course I need to increase the size of the stroke so it looks more or less like this. We could maybe make it just a bit smaller. There we go. So now I'm just going to grab the rounded rectangle tool to create the handle for our magnifying glass, and I would like it to have only this darker fill, and I will rotate it, put it behind somewhere here, and of course I need to move it all the way to the back. So as far as I remember, our main ellipse was 286 pixels high and tall. So for that, I'm just going to grab the ellipse tool and create an ellipse like that. And of course, Illustrator is showing me the last used value, so I'm just going to press OK. What I want to create right now is I would like to create like a shading over my globe. And for that, I'm just going to maybe use a simple gradient. I'm going to go to the gradient panel and just add this gradient to my, to my ellipse. I don't want this guy to be black, so what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to alt click and drag on this color stop to just clone it to the side, and I'm going to get rid of the black one, move this guy all the way to the other side, but I would like to drop the opacity of one of them to 0, and I'm going to drop the opacity of this guy to something like 50% maybe. And now I can just move this guy over my globe to somewhere here, and now we can just play around with the positioning of the gradient. Let's go from top to bottom. I guess this should be all right. So I guess the remaining thing to do here would be to add the clouds, and we already know how to do it, so it's going to be super quick and easy. So again, with the ellipse tool, I'm just going to create an ellipse. Let me just zoom in. And then I'm just going to clone it to the side. Of course, it would be good if you could see it better, so I'm just going to maybe for now sample this blue color. There we go. Now we can make this ellipse smaller so it looks something like this. And we can maybe clone this guy to the side, make it just a bit bigger. Well, maybe this time let's create clouds that are going to be just a bit different. Something like that. Now I'm gonna grab the rectangle tool, and let me just maybe make this guy a bit smaller. Maybe let's push this guy a bit to the bottom. And now let's just select everything, grab the shape builder tool, and just add these guys and remove these guys by alt dragging on them. And we got the cloud shape created. Again, I'm gonna sample the right color, and we can bring our cloud over here, clone it down to somewhere here, make it smaller, maybe bring it down here, make it even smaller. And maybe I'm just going to quickly reflect it by pressing the O key on the keyboard, then enter to invoke the reflect tool, and I will reflect it vertically, press OK, and there we go. We basically got our clouds created. So the last thing to do here would be to add the background, and of course to put our magnifying glass over our the right layer in the smartphone document. But before we do that, let me just quickly outline the stroke of our magnifying glass, so we don't have any strokes attached to our shape. So I'm just going to group everything right now. Shift click on this swatch so I can just grab it and paste it onto the proper layer. So I'm just going to create it. I'm gonna call it travel. I'm going to paste my icons in. Of course, they need to be significantly smaller. Let me just push it to the side. I'm just going to grab this background, paste it on the right layer, sample the right color, and we won't be needing this guy anymore. I'm just going to grab this magnifying glass, make it smaller, of course, even smaller than this, push it all the way to the front, make it just a bit bigger, and align everything nicely in relation to the background. And there we go, we got our icon created.